Hello, and happy Thursday this week, which is going to be my book review day for this week because it was a crazy week. Today I want to talk to you about The Knees of Kionga, a short novella by Rhys Hughes, although I would say that you could also very much call this a short story, and you'd still be fine in calling it that. This is the first title I believe I've ever purchased from the Doomed House of Abraxas. Not the first one I've sought out. I've been trying to seek out a copy of Shiloh by Philip Perceval that Abraxas did, but that is a tough find. Anyways, stumbled upon this one, and I gotta say I like the quality of it because it's essentially just a chapbook, but it's a very fancy looking chapbook. I mean, you got a little obi, a little paper strip on it to begin with. Then you have a nice little paper wrapper around the entire book itself, almost like a dust jacket, but it's a paper wrapper. I will say the actual artwork has nothing to do with the novella. So this is artwork by Heo Tsop, or Tsop. I don't know how to pronounce it. I apologize, good sir, or woman. I don't know. But it's creepy artwork, but it really had nothing to do with the actual novella or short story. Rhys Hughes is a very absurd author. I've only ever read The Senile Pagodas, which was published by Centipede Press at the end of last year, and it is one of my favorite short story collections I've read in the past few years. It is incredible. Each one is in the style or tribute to a different author. So I was very excited to dive into more Rhys Hughes, and I will say The Knees of Kionga, while being a very, very short tale, only like 30-something pages, 32 pages, it does have me wanting more. And the good news is there is more. So The Knees of Kionga is the story of, well, it's very loosely the story of Perceval Pitthelm. Pitthelm? I don't know. I could be pronouncing that incorrectly. That dude, Perceval. He's an adventure writer who is seeking an adventure of his own. And upon a journey into Portugal, rents out a very strange house and wants to seek out the story behind this house. And so he is pointed in the direction of old Rogério, an ancient man who is so full of wrinkles that the wrinkles have formed into one single wrinkle. Kind of the absurd nature of Rhys Hughes. And old Rogério recites his tale of the Kionga Triangle, which was a real area in Africa that was under German rule, and at the end of World War I, the Treaty of Versailles was given over to the Portuguese, and then it kind of diverts from actual history to a tale of when old Rogério assisted in relocating the triangle through this crazy, crazy apparatus of legs, like huge giant robot legs underneath the city, and it hops like a kangaroo over to Portugal. And the entire short story is him recanting this tale and just the absurdity of this tale. Because, like I said, Rhys Hughes is a very absurd person. The actual publication year from Abraxas is very nice quality, very nice kind of cardstock, paper stock here. Obviously, it's printed on blue. I will say there were a couple of glaring issues, such as this supposed to be saying triangle, so it says triange. A couple of spelling errors here and there. Couple of grammatical errors, like what I believe is supposed to be an exclamation mark there. Kind of turns into a little wingding instead. But I think that might be in part due to this story originally being published in Portuguese. So Rhys Hughes actually saw the unboxing video that I did of this title from Zeissings. He hasn't gotten his own copy yet, which the Zeissings, not Zeissings, Abraxas needs to get on that because, every author should have their own author copies. But he had said on there that this was originally published in Portuguese. It was published in a previous collection prior, and that he adapted this as like kind of the starting chapter or the start or jumping off point for an actual novel. I believe it's called The Wistful Wanderings of Perceval Pitthelm. And I'm not going to lie, even though it's the adventures of Perceval, and Perceval isn't really much of a character in this short story, it has me intrigued to go and check out Perceval's adventures. Sounds like he gets the legs up and moving again, and journeys with that as his ship. Kind of picture like Howl's Moving Castle if it was directed by Terry Gilliam from Monty Python. And that is the perfect image that I can muster up for what I think this novel is going to be like. It's what the short story is kind of like. Is it's the absurdity of like a Monty Python skit. I think Terry Gilliam, very Gilliam-esque, with kind of the absurdity of maybe some early Haruki Murakami. And it wasn't as humorous as some of the tales in the Senile Pagodas were, but I don't think he was going for the same level of humor that some of those tales went for. But it was intriguing in its absurdity. Very, and like I said, very interested. The Wistful Wanderings, if I'm saying the title correctly, it was Whimsical Wanderings, but I don't think it was whimsical, is available through Telos Publishing over in the UK, and I think I'm going to pick up a copy. It's just a paperback, so it should be fairly cheap. And that is Telos with a E, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Telos, not to be confused with Talos, Talos, which is a U.S. publisher that published Philip Procassi's Child Alone with Strangers. Another little Rhys Hughes, Philip Procassi connection there, even though they're very different authors with very different styles. But yeah, no, it was a very intriguing tale. I mean, even though the artwork has nothing to do with the story, it's a chapbook, so I can let it go. A couple little spelling errors in it or grammatical errors in terms of like the let's say the exclamation mark, but I think that might just be in part due to the translation from Portuguese to English, which could very well be the case. But yeah, I mean, I don't really follow the Doomed House of Abraxas, so I can't speak for their other publications, although I will one day get my hands on Shiloh. But yeah, I mean, if the spelling is fine and all fixed, I would say it's a very nice quality chapbook. Very intriguing. Probably the largest chapbook I've ever purchased. I'm going to stick by calling it a chapbook. And like I said, nice construction. So anyways, check out Doomed House of Abraxas. Check out Rhys Hughes. I think there are still copies available of the Senile Pagodas. They're not the signed copies, but I believe there were unsigned copies still available. And that is incredible. So check it out. Please consider liking and subscribing, and we'll see you around next time.